a perfect map to showcase the raw talent and skill that these teams bring to the table in the server. It's a fraggy map for two very frag-heavy teams, and I can't wait to get stuck into it.
Coastline is one of those precarious maps. Do you see a team that wants to focus on plants only? Because we heard Hap on the previous desk, he goes, it's not a map that you necessarily have to plant, but there are teams that really like planting on this map. Bans will come in a little bit crutchy only because there'll be a couple of the operators that either of these teams will be looking to get rid of. That was what I was wondering. Would it stay in for the possibility of Giants to use the Monty? NIP have thrown that one straight out the window.
It's the little trap card that Luna Metal likes to activate when things aren't going so well. But of course, we haven't seen a great track record for Montaigne so far in the Invitational. It was mostly just our APAC friends and Cyclops who tried that. They really did not have much success with it. And the same can be said for Giants as of late. They've been trying to lean away from that Monty, but it does come up as a crutch, I guess a fallback when times get tough. But not in this case, as you're saying, NIP getting rid of it. The Thatcher and the Valkyrie taken out. I like that Thatcher ban, makes it a bit harder to breach that Drinks wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Valkyrie will come out. That's one of the most popular defensive operator bans in the world as of current. Can't give you the exact statistic because it's changing every week as we have competitive play, but it was well over 60% at one point during stage one. So that is a huge ban rate. And then, of course, Mirror will come out. That's one that you'll see consistently on Kitchen. Some will also run it on Penthouse should they get to that site and want to run it. And Blue Bar has favored it a little as well. So these bans don't surprise me in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, and it really does leave a lot on the table for what we would call, I guess, staple Coastline. The big thing for me is that Lion has been left uncaged. A lot of teams really like to utilize that Lion on Coastline specifically because it's a game where it does come down to a lot of roaming, a lot of aggressive plays on the defense, as we see that shaped up on the defensive lineup as well. Mozzie and Vigil, a lot of info denial. As I say that, we actually have 2 6-picks, and I'm mostly interested to see what Speakeasy wants to pull off with that Amaru.
You know, I was looking at their last game in the past 6 months on Coastline. It was against C9, so I really don't have anything to go off of here. And mind you, I have an absolute certainty that Gig has planned brand new strategies for the 6th Invitational, so there's nothing I can give you here. I'm wondering whether or not it is going to be a Sunrise take with an Amaru up the hatch, a quick plant, get on out there, and then just sort of post-plant hold, or whether or not it's for that early aggression onto the roof to catch anyone who's late, you know, rotating around the top floor of the map.
I'm just glad it was a 6-pick, of course. When you're trying to pull off on one of those cheeky strategies like that, as soon as you telegraph it by showing it in the reveal phase, it suddenly makes it a less viable strategy. So I do like that pick. The only thing I like is that a Rooney Gate there, I guess a little bit of an extra protection for that deployable shield. Now, not only are they going to have to burn any ADSs, but also that gate before clearing the shield.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of teams have been using it as an extra opportunity because they're not going to have all of the ADSs stacked in one position. Why not bring a Surya Gate? It acts as one alone, and it's a little bit of area denial, and that's going to work quite well. DMR in the hands of Hysterics here on Lion, an operator we frequently see, especially in the APAC North and South region on Coastline specifically. So it's not a surprise to see it, even though a lot of people will be sitting there wondering why. And that's why that drone in Sunrise is a little bit interesting to me, but I'm not sure where is Speakeasy right now. That's my question. We need to understand what is his purpose. It was to get up into Aqua quick. It is all his right now, and that's a very early take of this really power position. Might have even been through that office hatch. No matter what it was, it's all his now.
So the Amaru can just wait for now. There's the first pick, though. It's Hysterics, the highest rated player of any region at Tier 1 of Rainbow Six in Stage 1. That's what Hysterics is right now, and he's gone down first. That's a bit of a rough loss early on for Giants, and of course, those E1Ds along with him.
Knock, knock.
I'll get that long angle opened up into VIP, and that's going to help your Sarah be able to cross angle over towards Cocktail Bar. And the reason they need it, well, is look where all of these attackers are positioned. They want to go for that default Aqua Bar plan, and well, if they can get that off and get the crossfire happening, things will go well. Psycho's not in a position to challenge you just yet from below with the C4. And if I look at the rest of those Giants players, no one's there to challenge a C4 underneath just yet. So these kind of pushes up and about with no pinch pressure from Hooker is going to be a bit problematic.
Yeah, and this mid round is going to be really important for Giants. In fact, they're going to start with this plant. May well be a bait. That's a perfect shot there from Muzi. But where is the plant denial? Is Pino prepping a C4? He's not, but there's the gas. That's exactly what NIP needed. And Giants, they did not get out of that sticky situation without losing 2 more players in a 2 versus 5 now. This is so difficult. They have to try and clear below. At least Luna has finally found one.
There we go. That was what I was worried about, that C4, but it's too little too late. You've got a 4v2. You've got to be able to clear that man count that's against you, and they left enough time to do it. There is buffer room here for Jordan and Luna Metal to make that clutch happen. But I tell you what, it's a mountain and a molehill here. There we go. Grenade misplaced. Nothing there to stop it. And as those pre-fires come out, there's so many vertical holes to play against them. They're going to commit to the plant. That's surely going to bait out a peek here. They've used those smoke babes. They've used the C4s. There's nothing left to stop this now, and Luna Metal on the fade away. He'll get Kamikaze's head. And it's all up to Jordan now to be able to hold the luggage rotate as Luna will hold the rotate back onto the diffuser.
This is really good for Giants. They've turned a 2 versus 5 into a 2v3 plant down, but Jordan has no info. He turns away. There is info. There's a drone. The yellow ping, but Jordan, he looks away again, finds one, turns around. There's Julio, though. And Luna Metal has been down. No chance at withstanding that. A triple kill from Julio. And Muzi is just going to go and say hello to his teammate as they clutch the rounds.
Love that little observer trick. It's always quite creepy as well because you don't expect someone to be, diffusing and then looking over to their teammate. But nevertheless, I like what Giants attempted there. They got aqua control really quickly. They popped that office hatch. They jumped on up, and it was all theirs for free in the first minute. And that's a very hard thing to do. Generally, when you've got a lot of angles, watching you, whether it's from white, from the rotate, etc. My biggest thing there is, did they not think the smoke in Cocktail would do a corner smoke? Did they not think to bait it out first? Did they not think to bait out the C4s even? They planted it at about a minute 40. That was a great opportunity for them to waste as much utility as possible. A bit of a questionable play, but like I said in the early round, I was expecting a team to focus on the plants, and it looks like it's Giants for now.
Yeah, well, I like the strategy, but it really did fall apart when they lost the players, like you're saying. We'll see if they can come back into it. We would usually expect that attack would come out of their half with an advantage here on Coastline. And so every round that NIP wins here is quite significant, honestly, all things considered. If they can find 2 rounds in the half, that's enough, I think, to be satisfied. If they can find 3, that's really great. If this is a 4-2 split, then Giants better hope that their defense is really outstandingly strong, because otherwise NIP will have set themselves up very well. But of course, it is just early days, and now we go down to Blue Bar Sunrise. If you play a lot of ranked, you might not be super familiar with this site, but it's honestly become so popular these days in comp, and I find it interesting that people are even shying away from Kitchen these days in favor of this Blue Bar site.
It's funny because in the Brazilian region, Kitchen actually has the highest, only by 1%, but it has the highest win rate on defense. And Blue Bar actually has the lowest. So there you go. It's not a very popular site in the Brazilian region, not for win rates. That first EE1D will come out because guess what? They are encircling the player inside of Office. Concussions will also rain out. Luna will double confirm that that player is there. And Julio, he's feeling the pinch. 3 KD suddenly, but Pino, he'll take out Speakeasy, and with 1 HP and a breath of air left until he falls, it's going to be the rest of the players on the other side of the map as Julio attempts to keep Office control firmly in his hands. And there's only been 1 minute, James.
Oh, this might punish Ysera. He looks away, but now he's covering the flank, and he does find that pick suddenly. Giants have brought things back once again. They have the man advantage for the first time this game. Jess, 1 minute 45 remaining. So much time to set up for a Blue Bar plant.
That wall not being reinforced is an interesting one. I can only guess that the rest of the reinforcements were used elsewhere. That means they'll have to impact it. But oh, Kobe, if I've ever seen one. Muzi times that C4 throw expertly there. And it's all up to Luna again to attempt to try and make things happen for his team. He can slow things down. And this is something that I've criticized in the first round for Giants that they did not do. They tried to speed run the map. And you don't necessarily have to when you have over 60 seconds. Trying to bait out some more of these smoke babes. Actually, he wants to commit and he's going to die for it. Gets off, Kamikaze finds him. And that is another round squarely in the hands of NIP. And something we have to give shouts to NIP for here is, James, is they are using every bit of their utility before they peak. And I love that. I love the utility reliance.
Yeah, I'm loving a lot that we're seeing from NIP. It looks like they've really come out of the gate swinging here. And Giants, even though we've seen some flashes of greatness from them, like you look at that first round, they turned a 2v5 into a 2v2 with plant down. That's impressive in its own right. As I would say the same for them losing the opening pick once again in that round just past, and then somehow finding a 3 versus 2 and starting to get themselves into a position to plant. I love the fact that NIP didn't let them. NIP's like, hey, let's keep this aggression up. Giants, maybe, I didn't quite see exactly where that player was, the first one to fall on the other side of the map, but just taking that 1v1, giving NIP a chance to get back into it, that made things so difficult for Giants to get back in the game.
Oh, Muzzy, he's going to rock the Warden. I wonder, and I can't entirely see, but I'm going to make the assumption that surely he doesn't have the pistol and then the shotgun in hand. Maybe he does, but he hasn't made any of the rotates, so I think he has the MPX in hand instead, and that's a load of shields upstairs. Look how many shields they've got to play with. Go-Yo shields, deployable shields, angles everywhere set up, Surya gates. This is a reinforced top 4 hold like I've never seen before. Unbelievable how much they are applying upstairs. Giants, if they read into this, they could just rush. I wouldn't say it would necessarily work, but they could just go around all of this and just completely ignore it.
I feel like if you drone out a setup like this upstairs, you have to have that moment where you're like, I really don't want to push this. Can we just rush instead? Speaky's not quite a rush, but certainly gets in early, and he finds a pick. That's the first time Giants have found the opening right on the back of it. That E1D suppresses any attempt at a refrag, and Giants, they are in fact doing what you said maybe would be a good idea. They're going for this lateral push and not actually contesting that heavy offside presence upstairs.
Oh, good shot from Julio there. Kamikaze on the other side of the map will take out Speakeasy in quick succession. And no matter what kind of lateral push you sort of commit to here, James, it doesn't matter because NIP seemingly are ready no matter where on the map they are. You know what? We have 2 experts observers here, and the fact that NIP are making it an absolute nuisance to be able to capture every single kill just shows how ready they are on every single part of the map. Grenade comes out. Julio doesn't seem deterred whatsoever. He'll take the KD, and that's all okay because now it's Jordan's turn. And I tell you what, James, these rounds have been ever so quick, and Hapset on the desk. Giants is one of the slowest teams. Well, they've flipped that completely on its head, and unfortunately it hasn't worked a single time for them.
Yeah, every time the Giants seem to bring back some kind of advantage, NIP always has a response, and that's something that is really just helping them run away with this game at the moment. 3 rounds of defense, and to put that into the context we were talking about earlier, this is an attacker-sided map. In most regions, most of the time, there are some exceptions, but I think that's a pretty safe statement. Coastline really good for attack. You really want to be getting at least 3 rounds on your attacking side. And of course, that's the maximum Giants can now do in this half. And as such, they're really going to be scrambling from here on out to salvage this attacking half and hopefully put themselves in a position where they're still in contention for the victory come the second half of the game.
Oh, we're going to go back to Hookah because guess what? The rotation has finished now and they've won as many as they need to in order to go back to their primary most preferred side. I like the way they set up and I like that they have such a reliance on different aspects of their setup depending on the side. We saw shields for that setup before on Kitchen all the way upstairs, Go-Go shields, deployable shields. Now it's a shield, mute jammers, Surya gates. What I can see from NIP is that they aren't scared to set their own meta. And that is very important if you want to be a comfortable and competitive team that doesn't rely on meta set by other regions or other teams in your own region. You need to set it yourself. And what I'm seeing here from NIP is that it's innovation without questions.
And you want to talk about innovation? I don't know if it's not huge brain, but just a little change as we actually have Psycho sticking the Vigil this time around. Instead of last time he 6-picked onto the Pulse. Favoring information denial instead of information gathering, but Hysterics is starting to zone in. You can see Giants really want to go for this roam hunt on the ground floor. One nice little neat thing about this Vigil pick for Psycho, though, is it actually, the gadget, that ER7, does make him invulnerable to the Lion's scan. So he can move freely while that E1D is ringing out.
Yeah, not sure whether or not that's why he's taken it or whether it's just a dual fold kind of thing. It solves that problem and it's got a good weapon and he can run around with the impacts. No problems and he gets away with it. That works. No DMR in the hand of Hysterics now. He'll go back to that assault rifle and as a result, he might be able to be a little bit more helpful for the team. But I don't think it's weapons at this point, James. I think, unfortunately, the reliance of Giants on trying to beat the clock rather than their opponents here has been the problem. And as a result now, some trades would do them well, even though you told me before the game started, Giants actually tend to do worse. Did you say when they trade out on their first player? Whatever the statistic is, which doesn't, give me any confidence in their attacking round so far, they're going to have to change that here now because I know what Giants is capable of. They just haven't showed us any of that yet.
Yeah, certainly. And at least for Giants, they've done a lot of good map control, and that progress will definitely help them, but it does come down, of course, to cracking the site, forcing a plant down, and there's a lot of things to still worry about when that eventually does come through. The gas, and of course, any vertical potential. Psycho's still downstairs. And Giants, in the next 20 seconds or so, they've got to start setting up for this.
Well, they didn't have pinch pressure on Hookah last time. Now they do, so that is a bit of a change here that they didn't have before. I'm glad they have it. Read like a book. Good night, Psycho. Hysterics has your number, and he'll put him to sleep. And now Ysera decides, yes, I can bait out some of these smoke babes. I can bait out the peaks, and that's what they didn't do last time they pushed Hookah, but they're doing now. Speakeasy, this is an easy kill on the smoke, surely, and oh no, misses out on it. Kamikaze knows how to dip, dove, and dodge all of those particular X-Kairos. For me now, though, this is the longest round we've had so far, and it's going to be up to the guns here of Giants who now have a man advantage that they didn't have before.
15 seconds to go.
15 seconds. Giants looking to push forward. Pino low HP, but he has a good crossfire with Kamikaze. Giants could go for frags here.
5 seconds to go.
That may be their best option. Jordan not pushing on forward. Yes, Sarah going for this plan. It may come down to Kamikaze. They know that the plan's going down. Jordan pushes up, finds one. Only one player left. Rounds the corner. Pino secures that kill. Now it's a post plant for the Giants. Pino cannot retake. And the Singaporeans find their first round of the game.
There we go. That is what Giants have been attempting to show us they were hoping to achieve on these plant-reliant rounds. And it does work when you can bait out all of that utility. Yes, I can see how it works. And they had time in their hands, and that's why it came down in the last 20 seconds. I like that there was pinch pressure. I said before I wanted at least some hookah pressure. There was initially from Hysterics. Unfortunately, he fell. And then as a result, that VIP pressure really came in clutch. So the smoke couldn't swing around with the shotgun and wreak havoc onto that planted player. So for me, I think Giants, they're thinking on the fly. They're not being rigid with the way that they're pushing these attacking rounds. And it's just taking them a few rounds to warm into this one.
Yeah, but I'm glad they are starting to warm up a little bit. Little minor things that are gradually just getting some momentum for the Giants. One thing that I'm noticing for the Giants is that they just seem to be playing a little bit scared. They seem to not really be super eager to take gunfights. They would much rather be, for example...
Do you think that's because they want to focus on the plant, though? Do you think because maybe they're worried that they won't be there for the critical part of the round? You know what I mean?
It's hard because, like, in that's a 3v2 right at the end. You know, one of the defenders is lit, which that information would probably be there from when he got a kill previously, right? So Giants could just think, okay, we know Smoke is drinks. We know the other player is probably around Vars. We have a 3v2, we can probably refrag this. But instead, you know, Jordan was playing very passively. They tried to prioritize the plan. I mean, I'm not saying that it was the wrong decision, but I'm just saying I definitely think there is a world where Giants are less scared of that and more eager to just go for it. Another example would be Speakeasy. He jumped out from luggage onto that little balcony to try and commit to the angle through the Hibana holes and clear that drinks player. And as soon as he sprayed and saw he wasn't there, he ran away instead of committing to hold that angle. And that actually meant his doom because Kamikaze just peeked it back straight away while Speakeasy was running off. I feel like Giants could be a bit more confident and willing to commit to gunfights here.
Well, speaking of gunfights, Pino has been in multiple engagements. In fact, the last 2 rounds, he has been lit up considerably. He was down to under 25 HP at the end of the round, multiple rounds. Now he's got about 60 HP. He can hear someone above him. That C4 will get wasted, but it's not too much of a waste because his job here in kitchen is to hold it for as long as possible. It's a power position for this site. This long angle over towards the default plant on the Sunrise site is why you will want to hold kitchen. The trouble with Giants right now is that they seem to question how they want to take this. You can see all those blue silhouettes over towards the eastern side of the map. I'm just wondering, what are they going to do? Are they going to try and take vertical above that kitchen player? Are they going to completely ignore it? Where are they going with this? Speaking of going speakeasy, he's going to the funeral of Psycho. He'll take him out. That's the first kill of the round halfway through. And that's a good pick here for Giants, who's taking the momentum of last round and soaring into this one.
There's eventually another engagement. Lunar Metal does go down, as Pino's also been injured. Oh, Julio just barely whiffs that. Hysterics wins the fight. Oh, the res is actually going to come through. If Giants know about this, they might be able to take advantage, but no. Picked up now is Pino. Ysera goes down as well, trying to dodge the E1D scan, and just on the other side of a soft wall. These two players do dance. There's Jordan to find one. Doesn't realize there's another in kitchen. Not yet. Here comes the ping, and here comes the info. That is perfect for the Giants. Muzi in a 1v3, but he is one of the best from Brazil. Doesn't matter. Giants are starting to bring this back as they find their second round of the half.
I had no idea what the plan of Giants was then. As I said, I could see so many silhouettes over to the eastern side of the map. That's okay. They got a little bit of penthouse control, a little bit of theater control, wide stairs, didn't necessarily have kitchen control, even though Pino was down. And they decided, well, you've opened up a bunch of holes for us in courtyard. How about we use it? Interestingly enough, for Nip, I don't know if they had a player in office that maybe could have rotated, and I believe Julio was the one to try and rotate, and of course, caught out by the Lion. I'm just wondering whether or not NIP are relying too much on these 1v1s or these power positions that are held by players who are forcing 1v1s, and that's why Giants have now worked it out, and they're like, well, we just have to overwhelm them with numbers. They're leaving players by themselves in certain limbs of the map. Let's isolate them.
Honestly, that is what I want to see from the Giants. I don't want to see this super and hyper objective focused Giants where they're trying to methodically pick apart, because I mean that's not the Giants. Like this team. Well, I was having a good chat to Lunar Metal. I think it was around the time of the SI qualifiers back in January, and he was having a bit of an identity crisis. He was like, I know that there are teams in our region, for example, Elevate, that really favor that aggression, and then there are other teams like Wildcard that really favor that methodical play style. What are we? What is our identity? And I asked him, well, what do you think? And he said, I think our identity is that we do whatever we think is going to work against our opponent. We will change our playstyle depending on who we're versing. And honestly, I just think that's such a good mentality, right? And I think here against NIP on Coastline, play to punish this aggression that NIP loves, but also lean into your aggressive tendencies and the ability that Giants have to just send it.
Speaking of adaptability that you're talking about here with Giants, it seems like NIP does not want to change that strategy for the kitchen hole whatsoever. The same shields, the same Surya gates, the same EE1Ds, the same isolation. Pino's ready for that one, however, and he'll be able to slip his way out of security and get away mostly unscathed. He'll take the life of Speakeasy before he does so. And within the first 40 seconds of this round, damage has been done, but Hysterics wants to reverse that onto Kamikaze. He's in sight! He's made his presence known here, James, and surely Hysteric can start the plant because none of the Giants players are missing.
Julio, doesn't take him long to fall either. Hysterics, what a massive round. And we talked about aggression. We talked about just sending it. And I guess Hysterics was listening because he just goes straight into service. All the way into kitchen. He kills a player in luggage. That is just ridiculous.
That's unbelievable.
You almost never see that, right? What a play. And what a way for Giants to come back 3 rounds in a row and tie the half.
I did say, if you see a setup where so much utility is offside, that is your opportunity to ignore it, make the defenders, have to taste their own medicine, essentially, and just rush onto side. How will they deal with it? What is their redundancy plan? Because there is no hatch over towards bathroom except outside and lobby. There's no retake possibility. You don't necessarily, especially with that reinforcement between bathroom and service entrance, have an opportunity to deny a plant once it begins. So that rush onto site was perfect. Hysterics saw an opportunity, took it, And now I can see the confidence that I used to know Giants for starting to shine, and the sides will flip. So I wonder whether or not that momentum will transfer onto defense for Giants as well, because you were talking about Coastline being attacking sided. It's actually defensive in both APAC South and Brazil. But slightly.
That's funny, isn't it? Especially considering we haven't really seen much from these teams on this map at all.
Correct.
Like, the last time Giants played Coastline was in October last year in APAC North. And the last time NIP played it was, well, in BR6 in April, but you look before that, it was way back in November. So this is a map which is really fresh for both teams, which is really exciting because you have, for example, NIP bringing out that kitchen strategy. You know, that hasn't been shown with all those shields upstairs. But this also is demonstrated right here why having a really cool strategy isn't everything in Rainbow Six. If Giants can counter that on the fly, then, I mean, I'm sure that the NIP coach and analysts are going to be kind of upset that their strat didn't work, and it's credit to Giants for countering it on the fly.
That's the worst part of being a support staff, is you can set up the most intricate and complex strategy, and it could work in scrims, and it could be really powerful. And the moment another team just says, we don't care about this setup, we're going somewhere else, it's all for naught. Speaking of for naught, there was a little bit of a early aggression coming out from Hysterics on this particular balcony. What NIP had decided to do, and I know it seems minor, but they decided to throw a drone up first to make sure they don't repel into any danger. Good bit of early understanding of intel collection. And now it looks like they want Penthouse, they want VIP, and especially Theater.
You know, one thing that I will say, and I know it's very early days, the scoreline is even, but this has not been a good tournament for APAC, and Giants, they're looking like this is the best chance APAC has had all their sigh of winning. As I say that, Moosey's like, shut up, Dev. I'm just going to kill one of Giants' players and call it a day, but it's not over yet. With Giants getting back into it, Jordan finds Psycho. And this hold upstairs is starting to be picked apart gradually, but Giants aren't giving up.
Yeah, Yasera doesn't want any of it. In fact, he wants all of it. He wants all of this top floor, and he'll challenge it if be necessary. Hysterics knows that he is likely being challenged. Hello? What are you doing, Julio? He hears the air jabs go off, but he's confused about where he needs to look. Pino, however, and Kamikaze, he'll make it worth their while. And although Julio falls, at least there's redundancy from the rest of the NIP players, as now it's up to Jordan and Luna Metal. Oh, saving teammates, that's his middle name. And now that they've been able to even the man count, Jordan is a hair away from death. And with 45 seconds left, that is more than enough time for the NIP players to be able to slow down, work out exactly where these players are. And look, I mean, Pino has both of his drones to work with as well.
Which is good, but there's only 3 total on the squad, which means there's only 1 watching for rotations. NIP, somewhat starved for info. They're going to have to be droning very late, playing off the seat of their pants. Luna Metal with the FMG and SMG 11 means he has a lot of versatility. Jordan here holding the perfect position. Does Kamikaze hold the angle? There's info, the whiff, but that's the kill, that's the diffuser! And that may be NIP's chance at winning this. Gone alongside Kamikaze. Pino jumps in. Giants know about it. They know the diffuser is down, and that is Giants taking the lead for the first time. And Jordan is very happy about that.
Jordan, and you wouldn't have spotted it unless you saw his silhouette as the Habana went into Sunrise. But what Jordan had actually done was once that barricade was broken, he ran Shift W as fast as he could from the kitchen doorway into Blue Bar. Why? Because the default cam was still up in Cool Vibes. He was getting all of the intel that he needed from his teammates. And because he was such low health, he knew if he took a straight one-on-one in a horizontal basis, he would probably lose. But if you shoot someone from the side and they don't know you're there, you are more than likely to win, even after he whiffed the shot. He knew he would take that player down, diffuser in hand. It is all lost for NIP. Brilliant bit of game sense there from that player, and I just think that this is a brilliant showing now from Giants. Took them a little bit to warm up, but we now have a bit of a show on our hands here.
I love that explanation there, Jess. You're saying this player, Jordan, did an amazing job of making it so it didn't matter that he whiffed his shots.
Essentially.
That's what I love.
Redundancy.
I mean, that is Rainbow Six. If you're someone like me who can't hit a shot to save his life 90% of the time, You just have to cheese it sometimes. Play smart, and that's what I love doing. Outbraining your opponents, even if it is something as seemingly simple as moving your position and getting a teammate to watch on a default camera for you. So I love that. We're finally starting to see Giants returning to form. Of course, to bring it back in for a second, stage 1 was horrendous from them. They moved down to APAC South from APAC. Well, that's not even controversial to say. They were the first ones to admit that stage 1 was really incredibly disappointing. They didn't make APAC playoffs, and they got smacked around by all these other APAC South teams that I think most people would have expected they would beat. And now they're finally looking a little bit more like that Giants that we've seen in the past. Go to Tokoname, go to these APAC finals that we've had in the past, and even defeat Rogue in 2019. Maybe we're seeing them start to reprise.
Well, with that Monty ban, it meant that Lunametal on attack could not play it, but they didn't ban Clash, so he gets one shield at the very least that he likes to play. It's going to be the Clash. He's had a pretty good game himself, and whilst he might have been flex frag on the attacking side, he'll go to flex support here to be able to give that intel to his teammates. There's a lot of players who are Clash mains or enjoy playing Clash who are also very good with the SPSMG9. And Muzi, he can hear a player shuffling up on the couch to his right. He'll flick to it, and he knows that they're there. There's a drone that will confirm him. You're looking the wrong way. That's okay, because the trade will come out. Jordan runs out of bullets, and Psycho doesn't. He'll put him into the ground. And this kind of trade fest, I don't think Giants were prepared for. I think they were prepared for a VIP balcony push, and rightfully so. That's what NIP did last time. But this time, a little sneaky Ash main up the white stairs was all it took to undo several players.
Yeah, and also credit to the fact that there was that refrag and then back again. But of course, NIP having 2 players there and finding the first kill against 2 players from Giants means that it's simple maths. They win. They get 2 for 1. Almost Psycho nearly dead though, considering the fact that he's so low HP. It will affect his next gunfight, especially to the Clash. That's one thing to consider.
Julio desperately wants to air jab this Clash, and the Clash is actually unshielded, on and off, on and off. Might have even been shooting a drone there, but it doesn't really matter. And Hysterics doesn't have the Vector in hand, instead has the TCSG. Speaking of an a quick shot onto Psycho would have downed him surely. But it's not going to happen, and now it's all onto Lunametal, SPSMG9 in hand. 4 players he'll have to hit, and not a lot of bullets to do it with, I'll tell you that much, James, but he's got 40 seconds to play with here. And if NIP are careful here, they'll know his exact position. They're going to stick the plan instead, and that's the right decision. Even if it's a 1v4, you don't want to risk a single little thing when you're behind, and that is a round thoroughly in the hands of NIP. And you know what I think? Whilst I think NIP had a really successful first few rounds in their first half, that if I was to compare the attacks of NIP against Giants, I feel there's 2 completely different metas that they're trying to employ on their attacking halves, and I'm not sure which one is more appropriate for the other. It's the clash of 2 regions and their styles, and I'm not sure who is winning just yet on that one.
Yeah, well, the scoreline reflects it, doesn't it? 4-4. This is a close game and, just about the closest we've had from any APAC team. I am going to peddle that storyline. I'm not biased, but, of course, I want to see APAC do well. I don't think that this is going to likely be a very good tournament for APAC as a whole, considering especially that, in the most recent Stage 1 championship, it was actually Elevate who won as deserved best team in APAC. Knights came 3rd. Neither of those teams are even here. And so there's been a lot of the teams that did qualify for SI, Giants, for example, even Wildcard, for example, like these teams are not in top form at the moment. And so I think Giants having somewhat of a reprisal here and starting to really play more like the Giants that we know and love, that is just such a boon for their mental fortitude, and also just for any APAC fans out there hoping that there's a chance, a hope in the world for them to come back.
Well, I spoke about Team Empire the other day, and of course, you and I haven't worked a Team Empire game just yet in this sort of format, but I was speaking about how those players generally thrive off the LAN environment, and there are players specifically that do get into a LAN environment. It's not their bedroom or their office or their gaming facility, and they just get this newfound momentum behind them. They had this motivation that they hadn't otherwise seen in their regular season, and it just starts to come free, and things start to happen in their games that wouldn't have necessarily happened in their regular season games. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening to Giants here today, but if you compare this game that they're putting up against NIP, who came second last year in last Six Invitational World Championship, so technically second in the world, and then they come into this year against them and they are going toe-to-toe with them, I would say they are far better on land than they have shown they've been online this year.
I think you can credit Giants looking a bit better than they have in stage one, mostly to the fact that they will have had, I think stage one was a big wake-up call for them, and they've now had time to really work on developing themselves and addressing those issues. I think a lot of it was mental issues and problems with their motivation and with their confidence, and that's clearly not the case anymore. These guys have definitely stepped up. But you could say very much a similar situation for the NIP guys. This roster, like these exact 5 players were those 5 that played on Invitational last year, like you just said. This is the exact same players that were undoubtedly the second best team in the world 14 months ago. And now they've come in and stage one was a bit of a mess for them. They've really, really struggled. And this is their shot at getting back into it, at redeeming themselves. And while it has been Brazil's SI so far, with yesterday having such an amazing performance from the four Brazilian teams in the Group A, this is NIP's chance to continue that momentum that they have for Brazil.
Well, unfortunately, a couple of the players have had to re-host, and as a result, they will refill the lobby ASAP. And as they do that, of course, we can break down what we've seen thus far. I don't think anyone who's watching this game right now can definitively say one team, as I was referring to before, looks better than the other. There's going to be viewers that are sitting there right now going, well, who is going to win this match? I want to know. Am I going to get my predictions right? How long am I going to be sitting here wondering, is Brazil going to outdo APAC or vice versa? For me, I was convinced in the first 3 rounds NIP would run away with it. In my predictions, just because of Giants' online performance recently, I also picked NIP. Did you pick NIP as well, James?
I did. I didn't want to let my bias seep through too much.
Okay. How do you feel now?
One thing I will... just a bit of a sidestep, but how I feel about some of the sponsors that we see on the jerseys from the Giants guys is hungry. They've got Chupa Chups and Nestle Kit Kat. I mean, man, are you trying to get me the hangries? Like, that's pretty nice. If I played for an esports team and I got free Kit Kat, I would be so happy.
Yeah, that seems like a dangerous sugar load if you would have too many of those. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking over towards my sandwich that the moment we finish this game, I'm going to be chowing on into. But yeah, I don't know. I think all of the organizations who are involved in Rainbow Six Siege as a whole, from all the regions, from Six Invitational right now, all of the sponsors that are sitting there watching and getting involved with the organizations, whether it be from Brazil, APAC, EU, North America, wherever in the world you come from, I think these players are really doing a lot of them proud. They're in the middle of a pandemic, in the most strictest conditions, sitting there playing for the entertainment of the world, and they're doing a damn good job of it.
They certainly are, and it's really awesome that we get to bring all this to you. Of course, I'm just going to go full shill at the moment. Corsair, PayPal, and Predator, of course, sponsoring the Six Invitational. They are doing a fantastic stuff.
Whoop, whoop.
You might have seen the PayPal content that we've seen in the pre-rolls. PayPal always have fantastic content, and I love it. You
might spot me in there, James.
Oh, yes. Well, I was setting you up for that plug.
Oh, really?
Deliberate. You're welcome.
Well, it was a while ago. It was a while ago that I participated in it, back during my coaching days, actually. But now I'm just a washed-up coach. I'm a commentator and analyst now. So how the mighty fall, hey, James.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. I never even shot for the stars. I played in an amateur team, tried to qualify for Pro League, and then I was like, I'm out. Let's go cast. And probably a good decision. But hey, you were talking about predictions for this game, and I think it is fair to say that NIP are the clear favourites. While they aren't having a great... Sorry, is that a dab from Psycho? I can't tell. If so, that was a terrible dab. Sorry.
It was a terrible effort.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Commit to your dabs, mate.
Do you
Let's
dab,
touch on-
James? That's embarrassing.
Not usually, but I do make exceptions for exceptional circumstances.
Roger.
Speaking of exceptional circumstances, I think, if Giants were to win, that would be quite exceptional, quite surprising. I think most people have NIP as the favourites. APAC not very strong this tournament, sadly, not having all of their best teams here represented. And also on top of that, Giants has had a rough spot, as we said. What I will say, I will give credit to, it might end up biting them in the backside, but our lovely analysts for this match, Hap and Fluke, both predicted Giants.
Oh, wow. So you and I predicted NIP. The analyst predicted Giants. So it's the desk versus the casters. Mind you, we do flip
we know
between
who's
them.
Going to win that.
Do we? Oh.
Come on, you gotta have some confidence, Jess.
I work with Hap.
Always wins predictions.
I work with Hap, and he is a robotic freak. It's like he just knows what predictions to put, and then gets the highest percentage almost every season as a result.
Beep boop. Hap is saying computer. Yes, Giants will win.
Oh no, you just lost like 7,000 fans all at once, just right there.
I had 7,000 fans. This is news to me.
Nevertheless, I'm hoping we're getting back into it. Yeah,
yes.
I'm hearing the game sounds. I'm hoping we're hearing game sounds because I am done with James's robot sounds as we load back into the game. I believe the players are all hyped to get back into it, and as they should be. Just to remind you guys, there's already been 8 rounds played, 4 for Giants, 4 for NIP. We're all squared away. And as a result, we will see Giants go to Blue Bar and Sunrise. And for me, I want to see this clash work out because I actually think they were taken by surprise by Muzzy on those white stairs. And nope, as I say that, cast a curse. They'll 6-pick straight off of it.
Oh, well, it's nice to tease it a little bit and make NIP consider that it might just be a cheeky clash pick.
Attackers have located a bomb.
But the Pulse is good for info gathering. Lunametal loves the Pulse. I actually wonder if he's running the shotgun. We see him with that M1014 sometimes. He's got his pistol out at the moment, so we can't see. So I'll keep my eye on later in the action phase when he switches back to his primary. But looking at the grander scheme of things, this is the first time that Blue Bar Sunrise has been taken on the defense for the Giants after winning Kitchen. That's still locked out. And they did lose their penthouse defense just past. So, are you feeling like going over to Blue Bar was a better decision than trying to repeat penthouse?
A lot of teams will try and repeat because they think they know what went wrong, and that only elevates the attacker's opportunity to double down on their adaptation. So I do think moving to another side is best. Don't give any comfortability or expectation for the attackers, and as a result, now they're going to have to go up against a brand new setup on a brand new site. So I do agree with this, yes.
Now we'll see if NIP have a decent Blue Bar attack in the strat book. The thing I will say, with their most recent attack round win, if you guys missed it, that attack on the penthouse, they really did lean on Muzi kind of crouch walking through the building and getting into an unpredictable position. Obviously, they played it well. Psycho peaked there for the refrag, but I think that Giants are now going to be slightly more clued in to NIP making these, I don't know what you would call them. I can't think of an accurate adjective. Sneaky plays? Ninja plays. How about that? Oh my God, Muzi's not ninjaing anywhere this round as that C4 sends him halfway back to Brazil.
You know what, it's funny because if you want to crouch walk through a map, you better be careful that you are at a certain speed that can outrun a C4. And when you crouch walk, that's just impossible. So that's a little bit of good karma there for Lunametal, who's able to take out that sneaky ninja player you were talking about before. And that's why they're called ninjas in pajamas, Got to put those sneak plays out.
Oh, missed opportunity for Julio. And now NIP trying to regroup. Untraded was that frag. In fact, fun fact, NIP haven't traded back a single opening death so far this game. And Pino finds the double, my God. Almost on for the triple. Pino steps up massively here. Giants are so eager to repeat this, but they're feeding right now. And Pino gobbles them up one by one. This man advantage has flipped well and truly on its head. And NIP find themselves in a 4 versus 2.
An absolute feast there for Pino inside of Kitchen. He ate up, and you're right there. I tell you what, they were just having an absolute field day. Make it an ace and an ace. He does. And that's 2 easy lemon squeezy And all he had to do was stand out with the L18 kitchen and have all of the Giants players one by one peek him. That's what you like to see. And I hate to say it here, James, and we were just hyping up Giants, but that was way too easy.
I'm honestly lost for words at what we just witnessed. That was Pino standing in the same place with aiming down his sight and finding every single kill. 5 players. That is just ridiculous. The fact that Giants, I mean, you kind of have to commend their effort. The first player died, and Giants like, all right, I'll refrag that. Oh, right. I died. And then his next buddy is like, oh, I'll refrag that one. And then he dies as well. And it just gets to the point of absolute hilarity, like some kind of cartoon motion NIP. They'll take that one. They'll take that one. They'll take it to the bank, and they'll say, all right, just put this in a long-term savings account. Thank you.
Because of the rehost as well, you won't see the previous kills that had stacked up for any of the players. So Pino right now looks extraordinarily impressive on the scoreboard.
Aside from Luna Metal and a kill.
So he looks impressive, and I'm not saying he just looks. He absolutely is impressive. He played that quite well. And he held back on holding down Mouse 1 unnecessarily until he could see the next player and the next and the next. But we're on to a new round here, and whether or not this is going to bite Giants in the backside is yet to be seen. That was a round that could have possibly been theirs. As you get closer to that match point scenario and you're looking down the barrel of having to push it possibly into overtime, this is where Giants will need to win the next 2 rounds in a row to get the match point before NIP. Otherwise, they'll have to fight for overtime.
Well, definitely going to be keeping my eye on Pino now. It was definitely Muzi was the player to watch earlier, but I guess I was wrong. I guess I was discounting NIP's second highest rated player for stage 1. Pino's always been a gunner though. Like, we know he's capable, and that's the same case for all of these NIP players, even the ones who haven't been so hot recently.
Do you remember him last year on the Buck? He was incredible on border. It was honestly just a sight to behold to watch Pino, and I will never forget the plays that he pulled out on that particular map before it was pulled out of the competitive map pool. Nevertheless, now he'll play different sorts of operators. Instead of the Buck, he's on the sledge, but that's because Buck doesn't have grenades anymore. So here you go. That's what it's all about.
Still getting to work on the verticals, and there's another kill. The 6th one he's found in the last 2 rounds. NIP find an early man advantage, no trade. That pulse from Luna Metal getting some information, but clearly not enough to help Giants get an early advantage here, because in fact it is the opposite. NIP are looking good. That said, Jess, this has been reasonably slow. We've just had half the round elapse and only 1 engagement.
Ysera's quite a good pick, however, because, well, if you can take the Jaeger player down, there's generally one of the aggressive players you know won't be trying to target you mid and especially late round for the flanks. Luna Metal will be the next problem for me. He has a C4 in hand, the cardiac sensor as well, and Hysterix is desperately trying to challenge over towards the white stairs and luggage. I don't feel like NIP necessarily has a lot of control outside of the office area, and then of course the flank cut from the upside down rappel of Julio into security. They don't have verticals. That could be a really dangerous problem, and I'm trying to spot out the other players here from NIP, but I can't particularly spot them just yet. And as a result, now those smoke babes will come out, and yeah, they're outside the window. So no real, vertical control outside of Psycho, and good grenade.
Another? Oh. Almost another. That's 7 kills now. Here's a deep plant spot for Kamikaze. Can Hysterix deny? He might be able to, but he can't get the angle. And it looks like NIP are actually going deep into Sunrise. That refrag eventually comes through. Kamikaze, diffuser in hand. Jordan has to clutch this. That's the diffuser planter gone down. 3 players more to find, and Jordan, there's no way he can go against Pino, who is having a tear. NIP projects themselves onto match point here on Coastline.
As I said before, James, if you do not win that round, then you don't give yourself an opportunity to get your own match point here. Now you're only getting yourself into an overtime position, and that is precarious. That is something that a lot of teams don't oftentimes get a chance at, or if they do, they lose in overtime because of the stress that they're pushing themselves through when you're looking down the barrel of match point from your opposition. NIP will be feeling cool, calm, and collected. They've got themselves in a buffer room here, and if they do have to push it to overtime, I will say that the stamina that I've seen from NIP has slightly outweighed the side of Giants as we now take a tactical timeout, and rightfully so. As I said, it's match point here. There's nothing left.
Yeah, this is definitely a much needed tactical timeout as well for the Giants. They certainly need to discuss a solution here. And one thing I will say is why aren't they going back to Kitchen? Kitchen is the only defense they've won so far. They went to Penthouse, lost it, and then they just tried Blue Bar and Sunrise twice back to back, lost it both times. At the moment, obviously, you guys are looking at the players themselves while this tactical timeout is ongoing, but they've tentatively locked in Hookah, which is a bit surprising to me. They're going to a fourth different bomb site, one they haven't played yet, and it looks like Giants might be trying to negotiate a gamble here.
Do you go with the known or do you go with the unknown, James? That is the problem. And I sort of speculated before that with NIP that maybe you want to go to a different site. You don't want to be predictable. And that's what a lot of teams are trying to avoid, is that once you give away a site once, especially twice, you've given away a lot of what you're going to do. And all of a sudden, you feel you're going to be counter-adapted very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say. Very, very difficult to say what is the right choice. And that's why, Giants have taken that extra moment to discuss it. I will say, typically, those tactical timeouts have a really good result for the team who's taken it. Is it enough to find 2 back-to-back rounds and push overtime? Maybe not here for Giants. We haven't had very many close games between APAC teams and anyone aside from other APAC teams so far at SI. And Giants is the only group from APAC, only team from APAC in the group that we're seeing today, Group B, and this is their chance. I do think that they are capable, Jess, but NIP have built up a lot of momentum over the last 3 attack rounds, and Giants better hope that tactical timeout is the cure.
I think that was a double evil eye placement towards Hookah. Are they absolutely certain that NIP is going to do a Hookah plant? Because let's be honest, Giants favor a billiards plan, and a lot of teams do favor a billiards plan. So I'm wondering whether or not they've misinterpreted here. Maybe they're just trying to get intel on a site that they don't care to hold. And a lot of questions on this particular setup, but there's a little bit of redundancy here from multiple different players. Muzi, he wants in very fast. There was a player top white, and I don't know if they droned him. I believe they did, and that's why they backed up. But Muzi crouch walking. James, not again. I've seen this happen before, and well, that story is over before it began.
Is there a refrag eventually? But back once again. Hysterics is there, takes up that position. But Pino, he hasn't died since the rehost, and he almost has double-digit kills. We'll see if NIP can continue this aggression so early into the round as Giants try and make their way back to site.
Oh no.
He made it through the drone hole, double digits, 10-0 for Pino. And NIP are absolutely laughing right now. Giants just have Jordan and Hysterics left.
They might be laughing all the way to a whole other point here, James, and it'll be on the back of Pino absolutely ripping through all of Giants. It's almost like a David and Goliath here, but Giants, they are not putting up the show here that you would expect of a Goliath. The David show here now. Another EE1D will rain out, and the upside down rappel will give Hysterics the indication that he is being slowly encircled by these hungry NIP players. They knew that peak might happen, so as side rappel happens, one pushes in. I'm not sure why. Pino finally goes down, and now Hysterics is in a 1v2. James, can he do it? Because this is for overtime.
And Makazi, a safe plan. Can Julio cover? Upside down rappel. This is nasty, and it's exactly what NIP need to